Okay, we're going to be talking about user input and strings in Python. So we'll start by talking about strings. All right, so a string or a string variable is just a word. It has no value. It's just whatever text you type. So for example, if you typed the actual number 4 as a string, you couldn't add it to another number. So if you did a string of 4 plus a string of 5, so if you typed in something like this, print quote 4 plus quote 5, the output would be 45, not 9. Hopefully that makes sense. Alright, so combining strings and numbers. So if you print, this works up here. This won't work though. If you print, this won't work in quotes, which is a string, plus 4 as a number, so that's an int. They won't work because they have to be of the same type. So you can't combine strings with ints or float numbers. To combine them, they have to be all strings. So to combine them, you would just add them, like do this won't work plus quote 4 would work, but this won't work with the actual number 4 will not work. All right, so some more examples of ways that don't work. So this is if we set y equal to the string awesome. That's y is a string, so it will work if you do this works as a string plus that string of y. So that works right there. This one down here, because x we set equal to an int, so it will not work because x is an int, so we'll get an error there as well. So now I'll show you how to make it work. Alright, so again, y is a string because y is equal to the string awesome. So when we combine it with another string, it works. We have x as an int again, but now before we add it to now this works, that string, we turn it to a string by putting str in parentheses in front of it. So that str in parentheses will turn something into a string. So again, down here, if we do str with the number 4, that turns that into a 4. So now both of those work. So that's str parentheses, whatever you want to turn into a string, whatever is in between those parentheses will be turned into a string. Alright, so user input. User input, you use the input command, so input parentheses, and then whatever's in those parentheses, you want to put it in quotes, but whatever's in those parentheses will print off, and then the computer will wait for the user to input something and hit enter. So in this case, we're going to say enter your name. The screen is going to print off enter your name, and there's going to be a little cursor next to it. You can type something in, and then once you type something in and hit enter, it will continue with the code. So after you type something in and hit enter, I typed in Mike here. It says you just entered your name. Okay, so the best way to use user input is to turn it into a variable, so you can use whatever the user inputs later. So this first line of code right here creates a variable called name, then takes the user input for whatever they typed in, and it creates and sets the name variable equal to that. So when we have input enter your name, it's printing off enter your name, waiting for the user to type something and hit enter. Then it moves on with the code. So now it says your name is, and it's going to be whatever the user typed. So down here in this example, I typed in Mike. It says your name is Mike, because that's what I typed in. And then it says name plus is a terrible name, so it puts in Mike is a terrible name. So this, whenever you use user input, it always, the input command, it automatically saves it as a string, and it will not save it as an int or a float even if you put in one of those numbers. So we'll talk about how to deal with that here in this next slide. Alright, so the user can input numbers or floats, but you must classify it first. So remember how we did the string in parentheses? To make it an int, we do int parentheses, whatever we want to be saved as an int. So that's what we did here. So our variable y, we're going to make sure it's an integer. So we're going to turn whatever the user inputted here is to an integer. So For example, this is first line right here is going to print type a number here, type it in 5, then this int command right over here again changes it to an integer. So now x, we have doing the same thing here, so we're changing it to an integer. So after we type in and hit enter for the number 5, we're typing in another number. We typed in number 2, and now we're going to do some math with it. So we're creating a new variable called add, and that add is going to be equal to x plus y. So add right here will be equal to 7 in the case of what I'm doing over here. And then I did pro for product, so x times y, so 5, that'll be 10. So now I print x plus y equals. Again, to combine those, we have to, since add and pro are both integers, we have to turn them into strings first. So string for add, so that's going to be, we'll print off x plus y equals 7, and x times y equals, again we have to turn the product or the pro into a string before we can combine it. So that's going to equal 10, and it'll print off x equals 10. If we did not have these strs here, the program would give us an error because we'd be trying to combine strings with ints, which doesn't work and gives us an error. So for this section, you have a short quiz again over this stuff. There's also going to be a short project to do with this. It's going to be just making a program that takes two inputs from the user and takes one of those and puts it to the power of the other. So for example, you take one input from the user would be 3, another input from the user would be 2, so the output would be 3 to the power of 2 equals 9. I'll have another, in the actual assignment, there'll be more details about how to do it, but that's what you'll be doing. And again, feel free to email me with any questions or post them to the message boards. And once you've finished that assignment, you can either, I would like you to take a screenshot of the code and either post it to the assignment page would be ideal. If it's too big for whatever reason, you can also just email it to me. All right, guys, again, feel free to email me with any questions. Thanks. Bye.